Very pleased to have with us on the program. Congressman Paul Gosar from Arizona is with us. And Representative, good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks, Cam. Thanks for everything you do.
Well, listen, it's always great to have you on the show, and I understand that earlier today, in fact, just a few hours ago, you filed a congressional resolution of no confidence in the U.S. Attorney General. What can you tell us about this?
Well, we've got originally 21 co-sponsors on the bill, and it basically tells us that we have lost faith in the Attorney General, his oversight of the DOJ for his actions and the actions of that department.
All right. So how does this work? The congressional resolution. I mean, obviously, when you get formal pieces of legislation filed, there's a committee process. How does this resolution get heard?
Well, this is heard by the House, and basically it can come up for a vote. It's a non-binding vote, but it shows that we're concerned and do not like and have faith in the way the Attorney General is doing his job. It's been used in numerous cases before. It can be in concurrence with the same kind of unbinding resolution from the Senate, but it really is trying to keep the focus and the pressure on the Attorney General for not complying with Congress, being obstinate, and not being forthright.
Okay. Any idea when this will be heard? And is there a chance that the resolution would not be brought up?
That I don't know, but it's another tool, particularly after we saw the hearing in the judiciary last week, where it became very heated. The Attorney General was very evasive. He did not give direct answers into some of the cases, and then flat out said that he wasn't going to give information in regards to the letter in which Lanny Brewer lied to Congress. The circumstances surrounding that.
Right. Yeah, and I got to ask. I mean, what did you think about Eric Holder's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee? I mean, it was an all-day grilling, and the Attorney General just really seemed to think that the information that DOJ has provided to Congress up to this point has been enough.
Well, that's the problem with compliance with Congress. It's not enough, particularly now that we find information that we've been misled by, particularly an Assistant Attorney General, as to lying to us in regards to that letter. And I think we need to go back, which I think we're going to be doing, is going back to the original folks and re-dialoguing with them, just to find out, now that we've got that information, is confirming that and finding out who and when did they know about this stuff as well.
Well, yeah, and to that end, I know that we've talked about this in the past, that in addition to the documents that you all on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee are getting from DOJ, obviously your investigators are going out and getting third-party information as well. Are you still, just speaking generally, Representative, are you still getting useful information from sources outside of the government?
That I can't tell you as much, and just because, the committee staff has been doing most of the background with that. But we've had lots of non-government folks coming forward, particularly, the folks that had the federal firearms dealers that the ATF was, basically putting in harm's way to sell the guns to the drug cartels. And I think then the other thing that we've seen in reports stemming last week was now the possibility of an infusion of dollars from the federal government in regards to drug money.
Right. Yeah, and this is the money laundering, and I understand that Felipe Calderon said today that just like with Fast and Furious, there was nobody within the Mexican government that had any knowledge of the DEA being involved in this money laundering. We weren't doing this with the cooperation of Mexico, apparently.
Well, and that's the thing is it's my understanding we had a moratorium established with the use of front money in regards to drug cartels, drug laundering, money laundering, and drug trafficking. So where that oversight and where that was lifted, it seems that rests in the Attorney General's hands. But it just doesn't make sense, Cam, that now that what we're seeing in this regard and how heinous these actions are and the results where people are being killed, people are put in harm's way, and to know that they saw how it failed when there was even cooperation with the Mexican government in Operation Wide Receiver. And they knew that. So how were they going to come up with anything other been a failure here, other than looking at establishing a result so that they could go back after our Second Amendment rights.
And it is interesting that again, an all-day session with the Attorney General, and he was asked on several occasions to talk about Fast and Furious, and not only did he say he did not provide an answer as to how this operation could have been successful. When he was asked specifically, well, who authorized this, he said, well, we don't know. We may never know who authorized this. Now, Representative, I got to tell you, that just doesn't sound like the Washington D.C. that I know.
No, that's the whole point. Is that if this was in any other administration, we'd be hunting it down to find out exactly who and when and why this was condoned, and particularly when our Border Patrol agent, under the auspices of Homeland Security, was killed. And this is what's just shocking to me. That we can't get the answers and the obstinance that we saw with the Attorney General.
Yeah, and it was obstinance, and I would even say perhaps even some arrogance there when you had that exchange between Representative Issa and Attorney General Holder at the end of the evening or the end of the afternoon, where Representative Issa had brought up John Mitchell's name, the Attorney General under Richard Nixon, and then Eric Holder countered by trying to channel the McCarthy hearings, and have you no shame, sir? This was an Eric Holder who clearly wasn't backing down, but was telling almost two different stories. Representative, on the one hand, he said mistakes were made, and people are going to be feeling the effects of Fast and Furious for years, but at the same time, nobody's been fired. Nobody should be fired. None of his top deputies need to go. He's got full faith and confidence in everybody involved in this operation that he called fatally flawed.
Well, and then that's when the American people keep finding out about this. They become appalled that we allowed this, that we actually had an assistant attorney general lie to Congress. And the other thing that, Cam, that I really wanted to see was, the direct question to the attorney general, did you lie to Congress? And his comment is he always said we have given forthright statements, honest answers.
Right.
He's always said it as we. Now, I don't know how that plays into a court of law, but I wanted it as Mr. Holder. Is there any of your testimony that does not comply or is dishonest or misleading to Congress and is not supplied by facts?
Yeah. Well, and as you said, we got a lot of the legalese answers from the Attorney General. One of the other things that was brought up was the fact that of all of the documents that have been turned over by DOJ, not one of them is an email from Eric Holder. And Eric Holder also did not answer the question, have you ever emailed anybody about Fast and Furious, whether it was from your work account or from your personal account? He didn't really get into that. He just kind of sidestepped it and said, look, we've given you guys so much information. We've really been above board and gone beyond what traditionally is done. But he never said yes. He never said no.
No, and I think that and then he also alluded to Cam, stating that he would not turn over now that we have now found Lanny Brewer lying to Congress. That the dissertation about that letter that went to Senator Grassley, and the interchange between all the individuals with that, he would not turn that over.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so. If this was transparent and there was nothing to hide, why wouldn't we not share them with the American public? And that's why this is so disgraceful.
So what's the next step? Is it before your committee this week that Dennis Burke will be giving some closed-door testimony?
Well, it looks like he is going in front of committee staff for questioning, and that is tomorrow, from what I understand, Cam.
Okay.
And then they're setting the stage for next year. So they're trying to get a bunch more information. I think there's others that they're taking information with, but I'm not quite so sure all the ones that they have called in for tomorrow.
All right. So this is far from over then.
Well, it's far from over. Now what we got to do is go back and review the factors and the people before, and especially with Mr. Burke, now resigning, and his questions now about leaking the information that that ends up being retaliatory to the whistleblower.
Yeah.
You know, these are things that are not accusations anymore. These are truths and facts. And now we want to go back over those.
All right. Well, listen, Congressman, I really appreciate you joining us on the program this evening, sir, and look forward to doing this again soon. And again, if folks want to read the text of the congressional resolution of no confidence in Attorney General Eric Holder, will that be up on your website at some point?
It will be, and just know that this has been used in the past. Attorney General Gonzalez actually had one used against him as well as others. So this is the tack that we want to make sure we keep the pressure and it's forthright. And hopefully it comes to the table so that people have a chance to vote for it, because I think it shows exactly what this administration, in particular Mr. Holder, has not done, and how he's not fulfilled, supporting the rule of law.
Congressman, again, really appreciate you joining us tonight, sir, and look forward to doing this again soon.
Sam, always a pleasure, and thanks for keeping this on the forefront.
Absolutely. Representative Paul Gosar joining us from Arizona tonight.